How do I start off, man?
Say Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hassan Majid. I'm from South.
Can someone else do it?
है बादा मस्त बादा आशा में अहमदियत है बादा मस्त बादा आशा में अहमदियत चलता है दौर मीना वजह में अहमदियत.
The academics, the sports, and also chance to be praying tahajjud and also like doing all my 5-day prayers as well.
One thing that I really look forward to during this Ijtema is doing my 5 daily prayers with Huzur.
For me, the best part of the Ijtema is when Huzur comes and he says Assalamu alaikum and all of the people reply Wa alaikum assalam. That feeling is the best feeling for me.
This will be my first Ijtema as a Khadim, and I'm really looking forward to it because all my Ijtemas as a Tifl were really exciting.
Meeting friends and my brothers who we don't always get a chance to meet, and you know, the Ijtema is a great opportunity for us to really get together.
गुलाम अहमद मुर्गान दाम अहमद खुद्दाम अहमदियत खुद्दाम अहमदियत खुद्दाम अहमद.
So each night on the Friday, Saturday and Sunday night, there's a question asking session where the brothers get to ask any questions that are on their chest.
I also really enjoy the hub section, especially the rational religion area, because there's a lot of young Khuddam standing there answering a lot of burning questions that Khuddam have on their mind.
It's a very relaxed atmosphere in which we can engage with the Murabbis that have just come through Jamia or currently in Jamia, and it gives us a very good understanding of a very wide range of topics, you know, some which might not be discussed in traditional settings.
वजह में अहमदियत तशना लबों की खातिर हर सिमत घूमते हैं थामे हुए सबूए गुलफा में अहमदियत.
So a bazaar, the bazaar is a place where all the people from Ijtema come and buy food that they like to eat.
The burgers, of course.
अहमदियत खुद्दाम अहमदियत खुद्दाम अहमदियत खुद्दाम अहमदियत.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to our live edition of MTA World News, here from the site of the Majlis Khuddamul Ahmadiyya UK National Ijtema 2018. I'm glad that you can join us for this live report, and throughout the next 3 days we'll be bringing you special live coverage of the Ijtema. Now, as you can see behind me, there's a huge amount of work that went into creating this Ijtema site. There's marquees here for the main gar, the Atfal gar, and also for exhibitions, and a whole range of activities will be hosted here, sporting and academics, over the next 3 days. So before we go to interview some of the members who have been involved in the organization of the Ijtema, let's take a look at some of the preparations that happen behind the scenes.
Volunteers were most worried this morning when extreme winds and rain pounded the mini-city they have built in recent weeks for this weekend's Ijtema. It was then their beloved leader, Hazrat Amir al-Momineen, offered words of consolation.
आज से खुदामुल अहमदिया यूके का इज्तिमा भी शुरू हो रहा है. इस हवाले से मैं तमाम शामिल होने वाले खुदाम को भी याद दहानी करवा देता हूँ कि अपने रवैयों को ऐसा रखें जो इलाके के लोगों पर नेक असर छोड़ने वाले हों. अल्लाह ताला इनके इज्तिमा को भी बबरकत फरमाए और मौसम की ख़राबी की वजह से जो बाज़ उनको परेशानियाँ और घबराहट है, अल्लाह ताला उसको भी दूर करे और साजगार मौसम कर दे.
है बादा मस्त बादा आशा में अहमदियत है बादा मस्त बादा आशा में अहमदियत चलता है दौर मीना वजह में अहमदियत.
Ijtema preparation starts approximately 3 months before the Ijtema happens. This is the actual plan of the Ijtema. But the syllabus and the content of the Ijtema that is produced right at the beginning of the year before the local and regional Ijtemas happen. So by November time, December time, we've already prepared the syllabus that we're going to use for the national Ijtema or local and regional Ijtema based on the theme that we receive.
It's a stormy weather. The winds are blowing at about 50 kilometers per hour, and there's a potential to damage the marquees. But since Huzur's address or Huzur's khitab, you can. I mean, if you look around, the weather has suddenly changed. The winds have calmed down, even though the forecast for the winds until midnight today was forecasting about 40 kilometers per hour. But since Huzur's khitab, there's just calmness around now.
Soon after Huzur's kind prayers, the sun came out and the weather improved. Ijtema began as normal with an opening session including words from Amir Saab UK, Rafiq Hayat Saab, and the pledge with Sadr Saab UK, Mirza Waqas Ahmed Saab.
Khuddam Ahmadiyyat, Khuddam Ahmadiyyat, Khuddam Ahmadiyyat, Khuddam Ahmadiyyat.
It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be here once again. I was just mentioning to Sadr Sahib that by the grace of Allah, each year we see that this event grows bigger and bigger. And already with the attendances that we have now, it is like a mini Jalsa. And certainly it was nearly approaching the numbers that we used to have in Islamabad in the earlier years. And looking around me, I would find it very difficult that we could accommodate these number of marquees in Islamabad today. So already it wouldn't be possible for us to hold this event in Islamabad. That shows you the progress that we've made. And inshallah, we will see that Khuddamul Ahmadiyya will continue to grow. And inshallah, bigger and bigger events will take place in the future.
Academic and sports competitions are underway, and Khuddam UK requests continued prayers for the weather and general success of this weekend's event.
So we've seen a little bit about the preparations that went on behind the scenes to prepare the Ijtema. And now I'm joined by Abdul Quddus Arif Saab, Mutamim Atfal UK. Assalamu alaikum, welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam wa
Quddus Saab, you're part of the organisation committee. So can you tell us a little bit about the preparations that went into this year's Ijtema and how it's different from last year?
So every year, alhamdulillah, the size of the Ijtema is growing, getting bigger. And just as we saw in Jalsa Salana, it's a tent village. And our Khuddam have been working tirelessly for the last month at least, preparing the site. And from previous year, it's a bigger size because, of course, next week we have the Lajna and Ansar Ijtema as well. So Khuddamul Ahmadiyya also supports them as well and does the site infrastructure. So it's just bigger and better than previous years.
For our viewers around the world, can you explain a little bit about the activities that happen at the Ijtema, because it's not just the academics, but there's a whole range of activities to keep people involved?
Yeah, so we try catering for all types of people. So we have academic competitions, for those that are interested in academics. We have sporting competitions, and we have non-sporting competitions as well. So we have talks going on from various members of the Jamaat and externals as well. We have the hub where you've got different features where you can go gaming, you can got some physical exercise as well. So, and you've got milkshakes and you just lounge around. And we try catering for everyone, and of course this doesn't limit itself to Khuddam as well. There's Atfal activities as well, and that in itself is a huge setup as well.
So why do you think that's important for there to be a nice relaxed atmosphere at the Ijtema to welcome the Khuddam and Atfal here?
I think it's just important that you cater for all types of people. It should be all-inclusive attitude rather than an exclusive attitude, and that's something that we try to do our level best to encourage everyone to attend.
And one of the unique aspects of the Ijtema held in the UK is the presence of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, who will inshallah grace us with his presence at this year's Ijtema. What special atmosphere does that give?
That is indescribable. I mean, I think we're so fortunate, especially for the last few years. Hazur has been spending more and more time at the Ijtema. He's been, of course, the highlight has to be leading the prayers, from Isha, Fajrs, or all the prayers that we have in the next 2 days as well. Hazur will be leading here. And that atmosphere is indescribable. I mean, it creates an electrifying atmosphere, and then everyone, so those that are even working behind the scenes and they've been tired for the last month, just seeing Hazur makes it all worth it. And there is no words to describe that feeling. And Huzur himself, Huzur's quite relaxed here as well. And that, just being around Khuddam and Atfal and with Huzur being so relaxed, it's a feeling which is hard to describe. And only even if you look at it from a TV perspective, you cannot get that full across. But we're truly blessed, and that's something which is unique to the United Kingdom.
Inshallah, we'll be able to bring some of those scenes to the viewers throughout the next 3 days. And just finally, Huzur Yaqtas actually mentioned the Ijtema in today's Live Friday sermon. Can you give a bit of background about what Huzur said and its impact?
Yeah, so we've got strong winds, and the forecast is for strong winds up to about 60 kilometers per hour. And as you know, the infrastructure is very temporary, and most of the infrastructure is around marquees. And with that, we've got certain restrictions as well, and we're quite afraid that something might happen and it might blow away. And Huzur mentioned it, and he mentioned the fact that the weather's not on our side, but he said that God will grace it nevertheless. And I believe it. Since Huzur's mentioned it, the wind has dramatically calmed down, and those for me myself is a contentment in my heart that inshallah everything will go well.
I mean, at the time when Huzur mentioned it was actually raining in Morden at the time of the Friday sermon, and if you look now, the skies are clear by the grace of Allah, so we hope that good weather continues. Jazakallah Quddus for taking the time out for joining us. And so now, viewers, we're going to take a look at some of the sporting activities that Majlis Khuddamul Ahmadiyya are involved in throughout the year, and then inshallah we'll come back and carry on with our news report.
The MTA Muslim Youth Football Club had a disappointing 2017 to 2018 season. That year proved to be the first in the club's history in which it wasn't promoted in the league. With the new season kicking off earlier this month, the youths are determined to put that right. Their hard work during the summer pre-season is certainly paying off so far, with a perfect 2 wins from 2 games taking them to joint top of the table. Sporting new blue kits, their first fixture was against Hanworth Sports. Hanworth had gone unbeaten the whole of last season, making the MTA Muslim youths the first team to beat them in over a year, with a hard-earned 1-0 win after substitute Kamran struck from the penalty spot. A second area in which the club has progressed this season is in hiring a new dedicated home pitch at Kingsmeadow in Kingston. It was here the second game of the season took place against Reigate Priory. Reigate might have started as favourites, having been relegated from a higher division last year. However, the youths quickly stamped their authority on the game and ran out 2-1 winners.
So we've seen some of the sporting activities that Majlis Khuddamul Ahmadiyya have been involved in, and that's so important for the physical activities and physical nourishment, but also from the spiritual and from a psychological and a philosophical perspective. There's many different activities and initiatives that Khuddamul Ahmadiyya has been involved in throughout the year, and one of them is Rational Religion, which is a website that has been set up by Tahir Nasir and a few others. And I'm joined by Tahir Nasir right now. Assalamu alaikum, Tahir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
So first of all, thank you for taking the time out and joining us. Can you give a bit of background about what the website is all about?
So the tagline of Rational Religion is where spirituality meets rationality, and also making sense of spirituality. That's really what we're about. So in the world today, there is a premise that science supports, and scientific evidence that's come out in the last 150 years supports an atheistic worldview. And basically we're arguing, and I think successfully so, that actually all of the scientific evidence from physics, chemistry and biology all supports actually belief in the existence of God, and that's what we're all about really. And so we're trying to show people that the material world all points towards the existence of God, and that's exactly what is in tune with Islam, because Islam teaches that the God of heavens and the earth is also the God of Islam.
So looking at you from a personal perspective, as a khadim, as a member of the Ahmadiyya community, when you come to an event like the Ijtema and you mingle with other khuddam, what are the questions that are on people's minds, and why are these topics so important in today's day and age?
So, I mean, you summarised it quite well at the beginning. You said social, psychological, scientific, and all of these issues kind of all come together. A very big question that people have today is often about social issues, whether it be women's rights or homosexuality in particular, is something that a lot of Muslims and a lot of young Muslims want to understand. What is the basis for the Islamic view on homosexuality? And so we're often having to answer that question. But more than that, often it's the question of atheism, and atheism has become quite a fashion in today's world, and but unfortunately it fails to satisfy people spiritually, of course, because ultimately it's a form of a nihilistic philosophy. So what we're showing people is that what are the arguments in favor of God's existence, and why a lot of the atheistic arguments that are advanced are intellectually wanting.
Unfortunately, we're a bit short of time, but I do appreciate you joining us, and hopefully you're able to, like I said, mingle with the other Khuddam and share some of those questions and start those discussions. For the viewers at home, you can also log in online and check out the Rational Religion website. So, like I mentioned, unfortunately we've come to the end of today's broadcast, but we'll be bringing you live coverage throughout the next 3 days. We'll be bringing you special reports on the events that have been happening, and also the activities of Hazuri Anwar. May Allah be his helper as he graces the Ijtema with his presence. So from all of us here at the Ijtema site, we hope you join us again next time for our next update tomorrow. But until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.